On the Empire Podcast this week, Now You Hear, Now You See me's Jesse Eisenberg and Isla Fisher, and we delve into a field in England with a true gentleman in Reece Shearsmith. Plus, of course, all the news and reviews that are fit to pod, and the only movie podcast that is really digging the latest work from Daniel Radcliffe, Stephen Fry and Matt Berry, to name but three. Hello pod, I'm Chris Hewitt and welcome to the Empire Podcast. In case you're wondering, that little reference was to the new album from cricket pop maestros, the Duckworth-Lewis Method, on which Messrs Radcliffe, Fry and Berry guessed to great effect. Do check it out. It is available now in all good virtual record stores. And with the Ashes just a week away, I'm joined as ever by three of my teammates, padded up and ready to rock. First up is a lady with a stout defence with an admirable ability to deploy a straight bat in the face of overwhelming stupidity. It's H.L. O'Hara.
I am going to see Daniel Radcliffe on stage on Friday, though. So
well, there you go.
nice.
You can throw a cricket ball at him.
Okay, great. That's in The Cripple of Inishmaan, which is a Martin McDonagh play. So
That's going to be exciting. Ooh, look at you with your culture and your art. You always go to plays.
Yeah, I'm cultured with a capital K, me.
Next up we have a resident art house expert, a stylish craftsman who is inseparable from his bat, which he's named Le Quatre Sans Coup. It's P.E. de Semlin. Hello, sir.
Hi, Chris.
How are you?
Very good.
Excellent.
What does Daniel Radcliffe do on the
Duckworth-Lewis
method?
Second album, Sticky Wickets. He narrates a portion of a song called Third Man. Stephen Fry narrates a portion of a song called Judd's Paradox. And Matt Berry narrates a portion of a song called Mystery Man. So there's loads of guest appearances on there.
Are you getting royalties on this album?
No, but I want to spread the word.
But
cricket pop is back and it's here to stay.
Is he? Of course, he's a cricket fan, isn't he? Because he's always at the Test match in the Oval.
In fact, I'm seeing the Duckworth-Lewis Method at Lord's on Monday, and I'm guessing not because he might have other commitments, but I'm hoping that Mr. Diddy Daniel Radcliffe and Stephen Fry might show up to narrate live in person. Or they'll probably just press a button and they'll be there. I'll let you know next week.
Okay.
Right. Exciting, that's something to look forward to, that's something to live for. Last but not least is our very own Kevin Peterson, a reference which is probably lost on him. He's a rampaging powerhouse who thinks the only way to use a cricket bat is for twatting zombies. It's JC Dyer. Hello.
Hello. This is about basketball, isn't it?
It is about basketball.
Yeah.
Let's take some questions from you guys now. Sorry about the cricket detour. At the Carl Jackson on Twitter asks, have you ever wanted to give a film no stars? Helen's shaking her head immediately.
Yeah, a lot. When I used to be a reviews editor, I had to sometimes throw myself on certain grenades for the good of the greater good.
In top secret style.
Everyone
else exploded.
Yeah, and some of those were definitely no-star films. Now I think I've talked about three of them before. Soul Plane, Yu-Gi-Oh! Pyramid of Light. That was the one with the infamous line, "Even eternity doesn't last forever." and an art film called Drawing Restraint 9, which honestly I could not have been more bored by. But actually today I'd like to name and shame another couple of films which made me furious beyond reckoning, and those are Anonymous and Paul W.S. Anderson's The Three Musketeers.
Oh, come on now. Come on now.
I can appreciate that they're
neither of those are no serious star films.
This is politically motivated bashing on Anonymous.
This is politically motivated bashing on both their parts because they both commit intellectual vandalism on a scale beyond which I cannot imagine.
This raises an interesting point though. Your reasons here is, and this is one of those great reviewing pitfalls, isn't it? That at times you want to be punitive when you're reviewing something. You're not praising the film for its artistic merit. You're basically saying it has offended you on some level and you want to punish the filmmakers.
Yes, I do. I like Roland Emmerich. I really do. I've always been his defender. And we talked to him quite recently and he was lovely. But Anonymous,
which you can hear in September, by the way. Thanks to the vagaries of embargoes on weird release dates.
And Three Musketeers, it's one of the great adventure stories ever written, and they decide they need flying
Yes, but
galleons.
they made it better, Helen, don't you understand?
I might throw up.
Alexandra Dumbass didn't have the imagination to think of flying ships.
If they'd been dragons in the Napoleonic Wars, no one would have complained.
That's a different thing. That kind of works. This did not work.
Yes,
anyway,
please make Temerate
let's
someone.
Move on.
But yeah, no, I felt that way about a number of films which the Scary Movie films being an example, there's clearly an audience for these films because people go to see them, but they are hateful pollutions of the art form, and you want to punish people for making them. I felt that way a little bit. I hate to say it about The Last Stand, not because it was a bad film, because it's not a bad film, but I was so heartbroken at seeing the great Arnold Schwarzenegger doing that role in that film that it brought all the bile up and I hated it for it.
But you didn't want to give it 0 stars,
I didn't want to give it 0 stars, no.
Okay.
But I did want to punish it somehow. Maybe a light spanking.
Phil, have you ever wanted to give a film no stars?
It seems a bit mean, really. But I would have probably given Battleship no stars, if possible.
Really?
Oh, that seems harsh.
No, it doesn't.
I don't know. I don't know whether we as a magazine would ever go that far. I mean, I've certainly wanted to do it. I mean, Project X is, for me, the worst movie of the last 20 years by a considerable distance. But yeah, I don't think we can give things no stars.
No, we
really.
can't, because that would essentially make it a 6-star rating system.
Yeah.
Again,
but Soul Plane really didn't even deserve one. I'd like to just go on.
If Soul Plane and Project X had a fight, who would win?
Soul Plane is literally offensive to every race, creed, and colour. Just everybody.
You've just described Project X.
Okay. Ooh. Maybe these two should get together and cancel each other out.
Maybe what we're saying in this is that it's that extra bit of personal animus. You really hated Project X. You really hated Anonymous. You're both political people. I respect that. That's what drives it over the edge.
Is that a diplomatic way of saying we're Northern Irish?
You can't speak. I hadn't thought of that. Maybe, no. But, that's probably what drives it over the edge. It's a little bit of extra kind of gas in the tank and hatred.
But sometimes people go into films with agendas, and you try your hardest as a film journalist not to do that. It's sometimes very, very difficult. But I didn't go into Project X expecting to hate it to the degree that I did. I hated it because it's repulsive and loathsome and just utterly vile. But yeah, I didn't go with an agenda.
No, but you came out with one.
I came out with one. I formed the anti-Project X party. The most famous example of a critic giving no stars is Chris Tukey at the Daily Mail, who gives no stars in the form of a Tukey turkey. And most famously, I think he gave a Tukey turkey to Trainspotting, which he said was disgusting and loathsome and vile. Pretty much he had the same reaction to that as I did to
But isn't that's the same thing, isn't it? You're not appraising that film on its artistic merits because it clearly has many of them. You're personally offended by something it said.
I do wonder whether Tukey plays a role. I do wonder whether there's a certain persona that he projects because he's writing for the Daily Mail and something that's seen to encourage drug taking or.
But you're not doing your job as a film critic, though, if you bring your personal prejudices and you.
Yeah, but he's writing for a particular audience, isn't he?
Well, yeah, that's true.
So, next question is from @WonderBoyLuigi. Great name. If there's a film based on a book that you haven't read, will you try and read it before seeing the film?
Helen has read every book that's ever been printed, so this is redundant.
I actually do often read stuff when I hear it's been optioned.
Oh, really?
But if I've left it to a certain point, then I won't read it before seeing the film. Like War Horse, weirdly, I didn't go see and I didn't read once I heard Spielberg was making it because I wanted to see that clear. But something like Hunger Games I'd already read, but Mortal Instruments I'd already read. But there's a few like that I've gone and sought out.
We should say that you can read a book in approximately 8 seconds. Therefore, it's not like a massive inconvenience for you to.
She's like
absorb.
Johnny Five, basically.
Yeah, or like Kim Basinger in My Stepmother is an Alien, where she lays her arm in the book and absorbs it all in seconds.
I'm not an alien. Where would you get that idea? Gosh, that's just crazy.
No, but it's a fair point, though. I mean, I do it. I did it. I really liked the trailer for The Bourne Identity, and therefore made the mistake of going out and reading Robert Ludlum's The Bourne Identity.
I tend to read things like that after I've seen the film.
I couldn't wait in that case. But no, invariably the book is generally, that's an exception, better than the film. So,
I read Watchmen before the film, specifically so I could get angry about the squid not featuring in the movie.
Really?
Excellent.
Yeah,
you went
furious.
You went in with an agenda.
Furious. I read it a day before.
You're part of the
but
squidist
I built
camp.
up. Yeah, exactly. It was an outrage to squid everywhere. No, not especially, because I tend to think it ruins it a little bit sometimes.
Yeah.
And also they're very different beasts, aren't they? There's been a couple of great books that I've enjoyed thoroughly, Life of Pi and Cloud Atlas, that have both been one really, really outstanding and one very good, I thought, done justice to. But they stand alone, so I wouldn't necessarily run out and want to read the book first. It is true about Helen, though. You do download books. It's amazing.
Literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Okay, so moving on now. From the next question is from @SimonYoung76. How come zombies became sprinty in the last decade? Seems to have coincided with the rise of energy drinks. Aren't humans zombies energy drinks? Really? When you look at it.
Oh, wow, that's deep, man.
But the question is whether or not you lay this at the feet of Danny Boyle or Zack Snyder. Because as Danny Boyle has been at pains to point out, they're infected, they're not zombies.
Yeah.
And whether or not that's just him being pedantic or whether or not it's the case is open to debate. Zack Snyder, however, very, very clearly decided he wanted sprinty zombies.
Yeah.
Well, he was clearly influenced by Danny Boyle. So
yeah.
you kind of have to lay it at the feet of Danny Boyle, but not really also. But people do misinterpret him.
Maybe
as
he has the
zombies.
responsibility but not the blame.
Perhaps.
Something like that.
Well, you say blame. It's a different type of horror. The thing, and I'm sure Chris
He's
will agree.
Oppenheimer.
The thing with zombie films is that sense of inevitability. It's impending dread. That's what makes them frightening. Whereas Dawn of the Dead, the remake, is basically Alien, so much so that he uses part of the Alien score in it. It's scary things running at you, jumping out. It's a different type of horror. So is it still a zombie film?
What was interesting to me was I wasn't here when you guys were discussing World War Z, and I really, really liked it. Surprisingly so, because I'm a Romero purist. And yeah, those zombies are not my zombies, are not George Romero's zombies, but
they're not Max Brooks zombies.
They're not Max Brooks zombies. But I thought they really, really worked. Even though, I think we've talked about this in the show before, I don't like the idea of fast zombies. I don't think it works.
I actually ultimately don't think. I think we need a different name a little bit, because I thought I liked World War Z as a film. I thought it was a good summer action blockbuster. I don't think it has much to do with World War Z, and I feel like we could possibly just call them something else, because there is there's a legitimate kind of form of horror in that kind of pandemic, in that social breakdown, in that thing that ravenous beasts, or suddenly your friends and neighbours have become ravenous beasts and are out to kill you. That's a horrific idea and a legitimate form of horror. But it's not the same as zombies. And zombies, it's the creeping dread, it's the inevitability of death that you ultimately cannot outrun forever.
With 28 Days Later, and indeed 28 Weeks Later, the horror of it was the pandemic. It's only described in the first film, though you see it much more in the second one, the idea that there's a crowd of people, someone gets infected, and the infection spreads through the crowd in minutes. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's absolutely horrifying.
Yeah.
But if fast zombies are infected or whatever, we would be absolutely screwed. Absolutely screwed with the slow moving zombies. You have a chance at least of holding up somewhere and outlasting them. The thing about fast zombies as well, and I think Helen, you did something on this for the website, is that for me physiologically they make absolutely no sense, because running that fast constantly
burns energy,
but also you overextend your tendons. They would snap something probably. I mean, so basically
exercise tears your muscles slightly, and then they rebuild maybe slightly bigger if you're lucky.
Hence DOMS, delayed onset muscle.
There you go.
Stress syndrome.
So if you're a zombie, then your muscles are tearing, but they're not repairing, and you're not going to be able to move for very long, especially if you're sprinting. And also, just law of the conservation of energy. They're burning energy. They're not taking enough in because they can't properly digest.
Also, the zombies in World War Z don't eat humans. Because the idea is that once they bite someone, that person transforms, and then they're no longer food.
No, exactly.
So where do they get the food from? That's also... I'm beginning to hate this film now. No, I'm only kidding. I really liked it.
Just on a very basic level, I mean, I'm not really a zombie purist, but life has sped up. It's got faster. And I think it sort of makes sense, really, doesn't it, that the zombies reflect that.
You're saying it's social commentary.
It's supposed to be social commentary, though, isn't it? I mean, it was social commentary when George Romero did it, and it's still sort of social commentary. I agree with Helen's point that's mostly completely denuded from Max Brooks' book for World War Z. And on a separate note, how good was World War Z in the end compared to how bad we thought it was going to be? I'm really glad about that. Weirdly, it was one of the summer movies I've enjoyed the most. So, well done to all concerned, because I know most of them almost died in the process.
Yeah, no, I really liked it. I really liked the third act as well, because I thought it actually had a sense of genuine threat and dread and made it more intimate, which is so rare for a summer blockbuster to do.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sure you guys have discussed this already in the podcast, so let's move on swiftly. Like a zombie, good one here from @CloneStarJC, who asks, I can't believe you've never had this one. What's the best opening line to a film? And he nominates The Jerks. I was born a poor black child. Must be tough to beat.
That is a great line. Spoken, we should make clear for anyone who hasn't seen it, by Steve Martin.
Yes, who was neither poor nor black nor a child.
Indeed. I would say maybe, the opening sort of voiceover from something like Manhattan or Anchorman is pretty good. Stand By Me, I was 12 going on 13 the first time I saw a dead human being. And Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
What's that?
The drugs taking hold just outside of Barstow. Isn't that right? Great line.
Who's the slimy little twinkle toe cocksucker that just signed his own death warrant? I like the beginning of Full Metal Jacket, obviously. The beginning of Once Upon a Time in the West is fantastic. Now, there aren't really any lines of dialogue for the first 25 minutes, but when Bronson harmonica and he faces the three gunmen, and
I love the apocryphal story that was meant to be Eli Wallach and Clint Eastwood and Lee Van Cleef.
Right, yeah.
Do you know that story?
That's right, yeah, I did know that. Looks like we're one horse shy, and he just says, nope.
You brought too many.
Exactly, and guns them all down. That's awesome.
I also like Bonacera's beginning to The Godfather, that I believe in America. That whole thing's very good.
Yeah.
That's very good. That's my Bonacera.
America's made Wario was in The Godfather.
I believe in America, Wario. Is that racist? Probably.
I'm a gonna call you on the. I'm a gonna win.
It's just dreadful. It's dreadful. What have we done? We've just ruined the film. Trainspotting's Choose Life. That's quite good. I also like. Has anyone seen Mallrats? There's probably 3 people. There must be 3 people out there who've actually seen Mallrats.
I've seen it.
But Jason Lee, his first line in the film is, "One time my cousin Walter got a cat stuck up his arse," which is one of the great lines. And lest we forget the first line of Flatliners.
What is the first line of Flatliner?
Today is a good day to die, which is great for many reasons, principally though because he's quoting Worf in Star Trek.
Okay, thanks for your questions. As ever, do keep them coming. We're on Twitter at Empire Magazine is our name. Hashtag it Empire Podcast if you want us to see them. We're on Facebook, Empire Magazine, and you can email us, those who do infrequently, podcast at empireonline.com. Please no more spam. Please no more spam. Okay, interview time now. Reece Shearsmith is, of course, one of the members of the brilliant League of Gentlemen, but has been ploughing his own furrow as a writer and actor for a while now. He pops up this week as a star of Ben Wheatley's brilliant, baffling and psychedelic A Field in England, and he came into the pod booth recently to talk with Nick DeSimlin and myself about that, the League, and an amazing line reading from Spaced. Enjoy. We're delighted to be joined in the pod booth by the star of A Field in England, Mr. Reece Shearsmith, and also, sir, you are one of the mainstays of the Empire Awards.
I am, aren't I? Yes. Yeah, I've been to everyone, I think.
I was going to say you've been to more than I have.
Yeah. I remember being there at the very first one. We gave away Gwyneth Paltrow's award. I've still got it. She wants it. If you want it, Gwyneth, you come and get it around my house.
Did Ben kind of come to you with this because he knew that you're into creepy stuff and spooky stuff?
I think so. I mean, I think he was a fan anyway of League of Gentlemen and Psychoville and my work anyway. I went to see Down Terrace with him. Michael Smiley invited me to the first screening of that, and that was when I first met Ben. I thought he was amazing, and I didn't see him again until a meeting. He said, "Do you want to meet? I'll show you my film Kill List." So I went to see that. Came out broken and with the Kill List stare.
Yeah.
I wish impossible to unsee that ending. I just said in a timid voice, "What have you done? Why have you done this to us?" And he was like, I don't know. It was early days. It was an early screening, so I think he wasn't prepared for that ending and what it would do to people, especially people that have children. So I was kind of horrified that he could have thought of it even. And then I didn't really hear anything from him for about a year. And then we met again, and he kind of pitched the story of A Field in England. And at that time, it was slightly different to how it eventually became. It was a bit more linear and a more clear-cut as a story, almost like a twist ending type thing. But then the script arrived, and it was like, oh my God, what's this? And I gathered that they had been thinking of me for Whitehead, and it would have been written for me, which is a lovely thing. Sometimes scary because you think, well, you're literally putting your eggs in the basket of this person can do this brilliantly. I can see them doing it, and I can hear just how they're going to do this, and that kind of sometimes is terrifying to deliver as the actor. You think there's a lot of expectation on me now to completely inhabit and house and render and deliver this part just as you imagine, because you've written it for me.
And on that journey, there's a 10-minute sequence.
Yeah.
Which I kind of liken to 2001: A Space Odyssey, because it's just this insane
yes, it is. I thought that until you said that last night,
of kind of images and sounds.
It becomes a whole kind of experience.
What was on the page for that?
There wasn't really. It was a bit of a Nick Rogue kind of Don't Look Now montage ending that wasn't there on the page. I mean, and then it's created afterward. I think it maybe said something about. It never really felt like, oh, and here's the moment, here's the 10-minute weird sequence. That wasn't in the script, not in the same way. I think it was the point where I eventually do eat the mushrooms and I kind of empower and get the power of the field and turn the tables on O'Neill. That was the start of it in the script, but there wasn't ever really like shot for shot a million fast cuts between my head and Michael Smiley's.
Did the weather play havoc? Was it?
It did, yeah. There was times when it was absolutely pouring down.
Yeah.
We were sodden through, and then it would clear up instantly. I mean, that was one of the startling things about the entire shoot, really, because being outside all day, it never really occurs to you, because you never really are. You look out the window and it kind of looks the same. But if you really are outside and you see how changeable the English weather is, within minutes, every minute, so something's different again and again and again. And when you're filming it and trying to keep it in one thing, and that becomes an issue, you really are, you're attuned to how changeable it is. That's why we talk about the weather all the time. Ben was assured, and he assured us that it wouldn't matter. He said, and it was pouring down some scenes, and the next scene was actually the same scene. It dried up and it was sunny.
Yeah. I
said, Ben, it's completely different. He said, be all right.
And how was the process in this film as well? Because I was on Sightseers for a couple of days and got a little insight into Ben's working methods in that one, and that was very fast paced, very improvisational.
Yeah.
I'm guessing the language and the dialogue here is very specific and didn't allow you guys to play around that much.
Yeah, it didn't. And I think the initial thought was that we would try to do a version where we would do the text as it was written and learn it, and then we'd kind of do an improv version. But it became very early on increasingly clear to us that you couldn't improvise that language, not as well as it was written.
Clearly you've known Michael Smiley for a while.
Yes.
What about the other guys in the cast? Like Richard
No,
Glover
I didn't know any of them. I knew Richard a little bit from some stage stuff I'd seen him do. I didn't know Peter. He was brilliant in Tony, of course, and I loved that film, and I was quite frightened of meeting him because I thought he was so good. But he's totally different in real life, but he was really method. So method. I mean, if he could have, he would have been shot with a pistol and bled out. I mean, nearly did. He had ice brought to him on the field and put in his pants, and it was quite extraordinary to see the extremes he was going through. I mean, I think he's brilliant. I mean, he really was a revelation, but I mean, it put me to shame. I thought, I'm just going to act those bits rather than actually happen to me. But yeah, and Michael I've never worked with him properly, but I knew him, but he was quite a formidable person to act with. I mean, it was scary because the build-up to Michael being in it and O'Neill himself arriving in the story it was kind of interchangeable because he started a day after us.
Okay.
So we'd had a day and a half in the field before he comes into it. So there was the expectation of him arriving, and I think he felt. I mean, I was quite scared because I knew that we were going to be at loggerheads, so he was going to be so horrible to me, and that would just have to manifest itself in whatever way came out. But he's lovely. But it was great to kind of have those big scenes with him. A lot of talking scenes and a lot of scenes that were done in one take as well.
Oh, really?
So it was quite a lot of language, a lot of the walking, talking. We just we did them all in one take, and a lot of them is used actually. Ben was. He's not cut into them. They are kind of the full one takes, which are great. But they're scary because you've got to be able to do it like a play.
You're in Shaun of the Dead as well.
Yes,
very
quick,
moment.
and the other Dylan Moran in the bit where they meet the other group going the other way.
Whatever happened to him, that your character in Sean? Do you think he made it?
No, definitely not. He tried to fight a battle some with an umbrella, and they turned it round on him and pushed it through him.
Oh man, you've been thinking about this.
I have, yeah.
Yeah.
And they ate him. Yeah, definitely.
And you're also in Spaced as one of my favourite kind of characters in Spaced.
Yes,
Dexter.
Dexter, yeah.
The Roboteer. And I'm going to try and play you what I think is one of the greatest line readings of all time.
Oh yeah, I hadn't thought of that!
Was that you, or was that Edgar, or where did that come from?
No, just me. I mean, messing around. I just thought it came from the faux realisation of, oh yeah, I hadn't thought of that. Oh yeah, I hadn't thought of that. And then by the 20th take, it was just, oh yeah, I hadn't thought of that.
So it just mutated slowly.
It just mutated, and I was kind of playing Papa Lazar at the time in our programme, and kind of just gobbledygook speak was kind of at the forefront of my mind.
Just always forget about that, and then I watch the episode, and
you arrive at that point, yeah.
It's amazing.
And Nick and Simon were really laughing, so I thought I just did it more.
Do you watch any American comedy? Because it struck me that there's a new series of Arrested Development, which took the format, and it reminded me of your...
I know. I've not seen any Arrested Development. I mean, I'm sure I'd love it, but I heard that about their new one.
I suddenly thought of that. I hadn't really mentioned it.
You hadn't thought of that. Yeah, I thought it was the similar layout of each week. You get different characters,
right?
Kind of story arc, yeah. And we just did that with Lee because we thought we were so terrified of. Palpably afraid of spoiling it and being fans of it ourselves and aware that the last thing we wanted to have levelled at us was repeating ourselves. So we thought a new way of looking at the stories and just kind of not having the sketches flitting around, although because then you cripple everyone that likes that. There's something very appealing about every minute and a half getting something new to refresh your batteries, and then if you don't like the character that you're spending most time with, then that's kind of that episode's essentially written off for you. So
you have successfully creeped me out because I've
good. Have you unfollowed me?
I haven't.
I know some people
you.
have said I used to follow you, but I can't follow you. It's too horrible. I can't look at those images at night.
Where do you find these images? Because there's one in particular. There's an old lady sitting in a cafe, and you described her as looking like a balloon with makeup on, which is pretty spot on. Where do you find this stuff?
Well, just to scour the internet. It's all out there to be found. And I just, occasionally someone will tweet me going, you're like someone who's never been on the internet before. Everyone has seen it. And then I think, oh God, really? Has everyone just seen these things? And I'm just kind of a little old man presenting things that so all the young people have seen a million times. And
I don't think this. I don't think this old lady's trending.
Yeah,
she's too disturbing.
Well, I use Twitter as well, like a repeat, like a running joke. Sometimes I'll I mean, I've tweeted her many times, and she'll be coming back again. It's just like, I just imagine it's funny if you follow me to kind of see her return every now and again. There's this thing. I think that's quite a funny way.
You're not a bit worried she might be on Twitter?
I hope
come to visit
if she's on, please contact me, and we want to get a photograph taken of you with me.
She's behind you right now.
You can pop her.
Yeah.
And escape.
Someone said to me the other day about that face. Oh yeah, didn't realise it's just 5 faces in one. I was like, what? What do you mean? It's like a doctored thing.
Right.
It clearly isn't.
You think no?
But I can't get involved with actually replying to people because they're all so fucking stupid.
You've been tweeting pictures of creatures and monsters from this terrifying looking book, The Ghost Guide.
Oh yeah, well I've rediscovered it. It's so great. I mean, it's funny, the older I get, the more I'm just trying to become the child I was. It's funny, I'm just trying to find all these books that I remember so vividly from my childhood, and that kind of began the love of it all for me. And the Usborne Book of Ghosts was a great companion guide that I had for many years, and I've been and lots of people have this exact the same memory. When I've tweeted these pictures, they're like, oh god, yeah, that book, we had that in our school library. So it's a collective memory, we all share it.
What's the monster you'd least like to wake up with it sitting on your chest?
That one in that book, there's apparently a Greek ghost that sits on your chest and suffocates you.
Really?
Yeah.
Greek?
Yeah,
So
I
he's
think it was
gonna-
Greek. Pushing Tara Masalata into your mouth.
I think I may have met this ghost. I think I've got first-hand experience. You've mentioned the League of Gentlemen a couple of times. You're working with Steve Pemberton again.
Yes,
at the
we
moment.
are. Yeah, we've written a kind of it's like a bit of a Tales of the Unexpected type series. We've done so much a narrative thing with Psychoville that we thought it'd be nice to just do 6 different stories, and with a beginning, middle, end each week, with a kind of play for today armchair thriller link. In that they're just little playlists. They're all quite claustrophobic, and you just get these different stories each week. And the only link between them is that they're all behind number 9s of different houses. So it's called Inside Number 9, and each week you go to a different number 9, whether it be a mansion, a dressing room, a flat, and you get these different stories each week with a really great cast that have all said yes to our scripts, which is lovely.
And is 9 the scariest number then?
Well, the night we arrived at 9, literally, right. I remember one meeting in our office, me and Steve, what we're going to call it then. We had decided that we would inside number 1, no, 2, no, 3, no, 4. It went on like this through every number. And I don't know why, but we arrived at 9.
You just got bored at that point.
Yeah, 52, no. I don't know. I don't know why 9, but we arrived at 9. And we were sure of it.
It's got franchise potential, though, doesn't it? Inside Number 10 next. 11.
Yes,
We can go anywhere with this.
Of course, yeah. And we did think, oh God, we've had struggled with the title of this programme. We just wanted it called Number 9. And
Right.
the BBC, in their wisdom, said, oh, but then you don't know what it's about. At least inside, you get the idea that it's inside. I said, well, yeah, if you still don't know what it's about, just put it inside. If you don't know what it's about, you don't know what it's about. Put it inside on the front of number 9. It doesn't tell you, oh, it's about going into different number 9s. But you get the word inside.
You know it'll be warm.
Yeah.
Wherever.
That's right, yeah.
Reece Shearsmith, it's been a pleasure, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Movie news time now. Hooray! What have you got?
I have the news that Steven Spielberg is planning a new adaptation of The Grapes of Wrath, the John Steinbeck novel, which is, of course, an acknowledged 20th century classic. The last big adaptation, certainly there may have been a couple on TV since, was the Henry Fonda John Ford one in 1940. So it has been a very long time. And Spielberg is not planning to direct this, but he is planning to produce it through DreamWorks, and it would seem to be quite timely. It's all about the Depression. It's about a family of farmers thrown off their land in Oklahoma who head west in the hope of finding something better, and things don't get easier, basically. And sadly, it feels all too relevant nowadays. So it's also the 75th anniversary of the book. And apparently there was a lot of interest in this one when the rights came up. With the 75th anniversary looming, Spielberg was just one of the people chasing it, along with Robert Redford and the like. So we'll have to see.
Were they literally chasing it?
They had to run, which, I mean, you know, I'm sure they're very fit men, but honestly, they're getting on a bit, and it seems a bit harsh, but that's what happened.
I would put my money on Redford in that scenario.
Well, you would have thought, and yet, here we are.
And yet here we are. Perhaps he was still on his boat out at sea.
Fast-moving directors.
Do you remember when directors used to be slow and used to be able to outrun them easily?
A sense of impending dread.
Absolutely.
So, that's it.
Thanks, Ellen.
Is Spielberg then not... What's he doing so many things? Why can't he just make Robopocalypse?
Oh, who wants Robopocalypse?
I've written a
really?
feature about it. I need him to make it.
So you can run it.
Exactly. You're right. Who wants RoboApocalypse?
No,
It's probably unessential.
we want him to get together with George Lucas and finally make that fourth Indiana Jones film we've been waiting for years.
Ouch.
And finally,
My
bring
news story:
Indy back to the big screen and answer all our prayers.
Bridesmaids 2.
Yes,
It's
tell us about
not
it.
happening.
Oh,
She's not doing it. She was interviewed by, I think, Harper's Bazaar magazine, and she was pretty unequivocal that when they made the first film, they were never going to make another one. And without her and co-writer Annie Mumolo, can't happen, really. It can happen, though, because Universal could obviously take the franchise on. It made just under $300 million at the
But
box
can
office.
they, though? I mean, sometimes the rights are with the creators. So
In this
do they have
case-
to get Kristen Wiig's approval? For example, Eli Roth was kind of stiffed on Hostel and Cabin Fever. That's just an example that's popped into my head. So that's why there's Cabin Fever sequels and Hostel 3. He didn't want to make those, but he didn't have the rights, so away they went. Ghostbusters 3 without Dan Aykroyd's approval. I'm not so sure they can, otherwise we would have had one, wouldn't we?
Good question, but that would have been negotiated a long time ago. In this day and age, you'd imagine that they'd want the intellectual property to any particular franchise.
Helen, as our legal expert, I'm going to bring you in this one. You have absolutely no knowledge of the cases in
none whatsoever.
we're talking about.
None.
So let's hear what you got to say.
Well, it would depend on the terms of the contract.
Thanks, Helen. So are we,
How much is that going to cost us?
Yeah.
But we're relieved about this, aren't we, in a way? Because you don't want to, diminish. Not that the original. I don't think the original is a classic by any stretch of the imagination, but you don't want to diminish the impact of the original, do you? By churning out a shonky sequel.
No, absolutely. I mean, you can already see the ripples from Bridesmaids. I mean, the heat's coming out. Melissa McCarthy's on fire. The whole idea of, and it's so patronising, but this was a 4-quadrant movie. Blokes went to see it as well as women. It just kind of appealed to everybody. But it was a female comedy, and it did fantastically. So it's already had a big impact. Do we need a sequel? Where would the sequel go anyway? I mean, it doesn't really add up from the first film. So I don't think it's a big blow particularly.
Cool.
Although we like the characters.
Good on Kristen Wiig for sticking to her guns on that one, I say.
Yeah, and she said, I could have made a mozza if I'd made this film, but that's not really what I'm about or what I want to do. So fair play to her.
Indeed. Score 1 for artistic integrity.
Exactly.
Jimbo.
Be honest, it's been quite a disappointing week news-wise. Nothing been particularly exciting, so I'm going to talk about Lego. Everyone here has seen the Lego movie trailer?
Yes.
Excellent, we're getting another one. Does anyone know the Ninjago stuff? Ninja Lego.
Ninjago.
Oh, sorry if I mispronounced it.
Ninjago.
Ninjago. Anyway, they're doing a Ninjago film. The Hagman brothers, or the guys who wrote the Lego movie, are working on it, and it is about the little ninja Lego people, masters of, wait for it, spinjitzu.
Is it going to be like Rashomon?
It could be. It
Will it
could
be in
be
black and
exactly
white?
like that, but it will star Kai, the Red Ninja of Fire, who is one of the Ninjago.
So it can't be in black and white then? Because otherwise you wouldn't know which one the Red Ninja is.
So sorry,
This is slightly darker grey ninja.
Hang on. Is this going to be in the Lego movie, or is this a different
No,
movie?
this is a separate movie, entirely separate movie,
Alright.
which has been essentially greenlit.
Is this going to be serious in tone, or is it going to be like the Lego movie, a bit of a piss take?
I would imagine it's going to be ninja in tone.
Okay.
I mean, it's going to have that sort of. We can't exactly be that serious. It's quite hard to take them seriously. They are small plastic block men.
It's sort of
But-
3 ninjas for the Lego movie generation,
Yeah.
if you will, Chris. Or possibly surf ninjas, if we're really lucky.
Yeah.
Did you know that those films the titles are grammatically incorrect? The plural of ninja is ninja. It's like sheep.
Oh,
Wow.
well, let's turn my
So
whole life
three
Three
upside
ninja-
down.
ninjas. You got it wrong, mate.
What's a collective noun for a group of ninjai?
A shuriken.
And arse kickery.
An arse kickery, that's even better.
No, but the thing, I'll be honest with you, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and possibly get stoned to death. I just don't get the whole Lego thing. Who cares? Like, they've brought out approximately 1,000 video games in the last 10 years. There's been Lego Lord of the Rings, there's Lego Marvel, there's Lego Star Wars, Lego this. Surely it just makes a Lord of the Rings game look a bit rubbish and blocky and people chase around bricks.
Well, evidently, James, there's quite a lot of people that care.
Yeah, well, clearly, that's what I'm saying. I'm very much on the outside here. I just don't get it. I mean, I liked Lego as a child, but I don't see the. I was left a little cold by the trailer for the Lego movie. to be
Really? I
honest.
thought it looked fantastic.
Yeah.
There's
not,
been
not feeling it.
I think the reason that why the news isn't that great this week is, I just remembered this, is because it's July 4th. It's July 4th as we're recording this right now. So, happy
The day
Independence
we
Day.
take back our independence.
The day we take back our independence. So, happy Bill Pullman Day to everybody out there. Whether you're American or not.
Yeah.
Funny enough, I was on the set of Cuban Fury last year on July 4th, and they brought out, Rashida Jones was there. She was obviously separated from her home country.
Indeed.
And so they stopped filming and they played the American national anthem and they had little flags and they brought out American cupcakes so that she could enjoy it and feel a little part of her homeland. Let's move on to the next interview. Now You See Me is a fun heist thriller about 4 magicians who decide to use their skills to rob banks, or do they? It stars Jesse Eisenberg, Isla Fisher, Mark Ruffalo, Michael Caine, Morgan Freeman and Woody Harrelson, and we were delighted when the first two, as Eisenberg and Fisher in case you weren't keeping score, popped in to have a good old natter with Helen and Ali Plum. Now you don't hear them, now you do.
Welcome to the Empire Podcast, and we are joined today by Isla Fisher and Jesse Eisenberg to talk about Now You See Me. Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having us.
There's a bit of a problem with this movie, which is that it's like a magic trick in that we can't really talk very much about anything.
Yeah, exactly. Like, while you're watching a magic show, you're trying to figure it out, you're piecing it together, and of course at the end you realize it was something totally different and more interesting than you expected, and that's kind of what happens in the movie. You're watching it, you're piecing together the plot, and then at the end you realize it's something far more obvious and more interesting than you expected.
And it's a nightmare to promote, I'm sure.
Well, like, there's all these other cool things about the movie, like our characters are like the greatest magicians in the world and we rob banks with our magic. So it's like, that's a really interesting part of it, but really what you're watching during the movie is this kind of cat and mouse chase where the FBI is tracking us, trying to piece it together.
So did you have to do, I mean, I'm sorry you've had this, I'm sure, about a million times already, but, how much did you have to learn and how much could you just wave your arms and trust them to add it in post?
Actually, that is the millionth, and you get a prize.
Hey!
No, we had to do as much as possible because the director wanted the magic to be real, not computers, because you can tell the difference, or if you can't tell the difference, it has some better effect if it's authentic. So we had to learn as much as possible. And like Isla in the first scene of the movie, she is in a tank of water and chained to the bottom of the tank, and then piranhas are dumped in, and they actually brought real piranhas to the set, which actually turned out to be too small, so they actually had to make them out of a computer.
My agents paid for them.
An ex-boyfriend. So Isla actually did that. She was chained to, there was escape routes and everything. But
I
she
had
was
to
actually
practice holding my breath for, months leading up to it. So
Right.
we really gave it our best go, and the stuff we couldn't do or that didn't work out that great, they helped us out. But everything you see in the movie, all the illusions, if they're not, they're not around now, they're at least being developed and will be around in the near future.
Like bank robbery.
Yes.
It's on its way.
Such a modern concept that we can't even grasp it.
What I love about that is that you brought the piranhas in, they were ready to roll, and then on the day you go, these are too small.
Yes, they're not dangerous
They were
enough. We
flown
think
in.
our actress may survive.
yeah.
That is not what we'd hoped. Amy Adams, hold the beat. We'll call you in a second. Once we've had her munched.
Yeah, they brought a tank of piranhas in. They planned months in advance from Brazil, and then the piranhas were too small, so they called Brazil and they said, "What should we do?" And Brazil said, "Oh, just feed them."
Yeah,
and
they're
so
tadpoles.
So they were saying how big could they get from feeding them
In 1
And-
hour.
Yeah, and so they did not get any bigger. So that was one of the times they had to use a computer effect, but otherwise all of the things were kind of practically done.
I like how there's a phone number for Brazil. I'm just going to call Brazil.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Your piranhas are
Collectively.
rubbish.
it's number 6 on the phone. Yeah, if you're calling in America, if you're calling from England, it's 7.
Now, we're here in a podcast, so my question for you, which may or may not go down well, is what is the best magic trick that you could possibly do that works on audio?
You could shuffle through a deck of cards. It just sounds like...
Done.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing. And I
Oh,
could
just
magic out a dove from here. Are you ready?
Wow.
Go.
Quah, 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 quah.
Isn't that a French word?
It's gone horribly wrong in here.
I realised it was a crow I meant to say, but I've been a little jet lagged.
Yeah.
Well, you're both bird experts. Your Rise of the Guardians,
fix it in
feathered
CGI.
character,
Oh, yeah.
Rio. Obviously.
There are a
Yeah.
lot of parallels between our
A
lives.
lot of parallels.
Yeah.
I'm just working towards being, a playwright instead of writing bad emails.
Well, yeah, that's where all the best people start. They start with a bad email and they work
Yeah.
up to...
Arthur
Listen,
Miller.
They say you can't write any good emails until you've written all the bad ones. So you'll get
Until all your emails get rejected.
there. Yeah.
And then
exactly.
the last email.
Yeah. Then they find your bad emails and think they're great just because you've had one success.
And when you die,
Then they respond.
Now, of course, Jesse, you've worked with Woody before. Was it enjoyable to be back with him? Because I felt like he had a lot of fun. You two had a lot of fun on camera, just kind of playing these almost absurd people that can't be real.
Wait, which? In this?
In this, yeah. With the
Yeah, we
characters.
play these competitive, magicians who feel threatened by each other's successes. And it's funny. He's a really funny guy, but beyond funny, he's a very hardworking guy. When there's a joke in the script, he'll come to set having written a dozen other alternative jokes and try all of them, really.
Yeah, and if you write a joke and he likes it, he'll take it too, which is really something to admire.
Yeah, he's really good at delivering jokes.
He's just good at delivering jokes wherever they come from.
Yeah, he's really, like, he's a hardworking guy.
He's just so funny. Woody really is funny. Just one of these people that he just lights up a room. Everybody loves him. He's just got some special, quality.
Really
yeah, he's just so sweet.
Yeah, he plays like a hypnotist in the movie, and it's not far from his personality, which is like very persuasive.
Yeah, he could persuade you to do anything.
Like in the middle of the night, call you up and say, "We're going to the zoo, man." I'm like, oh no. So then we like go to the zoo in the middle of the night, and he's just like persuasive. And then when he's hypnotizing you, it's like you can't tell if it's just because he's kind of charming and persuasive or because he knows the secrets of hypnotism.
Now, you must be aware, Isla, that a lot of people have been watching you in Arrested Development in just binges. They just sit down and watch like 13 on the go.
Yeah.
And how does it feel? Have you been having people talk to you about it, like in the street when they see you? Do they go, "I can't believe you did that to Michael," and this, that, and the other?
Yeah, well, I think that's what's really weird about this month is that I came out in this very watched movie, The Great Gatsby, and then I came out with this movie, but the only thing anybody has talked to me about is Arrested Development. So it's testament to the fan base and how incredibly passionate people are about the Bluth family.
Gatsby, I suppose, they know what's happening. I mean,
yeah, they've read the book.
Why make a movie? Yeah, they all know what happens.
That's a really good point.
Literally, just have to read the last page of that book.
Speaking of books that just don't need to be made into movies, The Double.
Finally, yeah.
Me, please.
Oh, no, I mean, like, finally, they shouldn't have made it, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You've got Michael Caine as the producer, I noticed, which is kind of a weird connection here, because obviously he's in Now You See Me. But you've got Richard Ayoade, and you're playing, this is going to come out wrong, with yourself.
Yeah. And then in the movie, just kidding. Yeah, it's like based on the Dostoevsky novella. It takes place in this kind of paranoid dystopian world. And I play this like meek businessman who no one remembers. And if they do remember him, they don't like him for no reason. He's just sweet and good natured, but no one likes him. And then he shows up to work. He works at this awful kind of, big bureaucratic, like Orwellian office. And his doppelganger shows up, and everybody loves the doppelganger. He's a shallow idiot, but everybody loves him for some reason and thinks he's attractive and funny. And he'll tell the same joke that I tell, but everybody laughs when he tells it. It's really funny. And then he starts to overtake my life. Well, I play both characters, so I start to overtake the first guy's life. Yeah, and then of course in the doppelganger myth, you have to kill your doppelganger, so it turns kind of like dark. But it's really funny. And Richard Ayoade is a very funny guy and very creative. And he created this entire world, this entire dystopian universe. Every set was built. It was really amazing. And he's hysterical.
With working like that, how does it work with the you and you?
Yeah, you film if I'm in the same shot, then you film one, and then they have a camera on a computer so that if the camera's moving, the computer records the movement, so it does the exact same movement. And then you could watch it back to make sure I didn't step, over the other me. And then if it's intercut, I had somebody doing the lines, this guy Andrew, who was an actor who would do the lines, and that was really helpful as well.
And I was curious whether you'd personally come up with a term for referring to the untitled Elmore Leonard project.
I've been calling it The Switch because that's the name of the book, but I've been told off because apparently there's another Jennifer Aniston movie called The Switch. So
she's in the other one?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I'm just not going to mention.
Why don't they just call it The Switch 2?
Yeah, because Bateman's not in this one.
Also, your characters here have got great names. How were you approached with this?
Frankly, when my agent told me about the movie, I thought it was terrible because I don't get sent movies like this. And whenever I do get sent movies like this, they're bad. And then I finally cracked it open and it was fantastic. From the first page, you think, oh my God, this is fantastic. The surprises in the movie are actually surprising and the twists are... But I mean, even more than that, the characters are really good. It seemed like the kind of movie that would support a really good cast because all the characters are really interesting. And they asked me to play a really cool character, this guy who's a great magician who thinks he's the best in the world at magic and has kind of developed the attitude of somebody who thinks they're really great at something. And it was a good opportunity for me to play a character that's confident on stage because I normally feel a lot of stage fright when I perform. So this kind of tricked me into thinking that I'm comfortable on stage.
I mean, those arena scenes, did they have a sort of the first few rows kind of packed full of people?
They actually have these amazing, realistic-looking dummies that are just essentially a torso with a very human face. I mean, my kids were like, there is people. I'm like, no, they're not people. I mean, they're so really brilliantly done. And then they pepper those kind of every 4 of those dummies is a regular person. And so the movement...
Being, right, so it looks like people are moving.
Yeah.
You see one.
I got involved in the movie because Bobby Cohen, the producer on this movie, produced Definitely Maybe, which is another movie I'd done. So I had a relationship with him that was already very cuddly.
It's a good reason.
Were you ever in Vegas? Because I wasn't sure from the movie.
Yeah, we filmed the movie in Las Vegas. In the first
really? Okay.
show in the movie, our characters rob a bank in Paris from a stage in Las Vegas. And like it's really interesting because it seems like it's this impossible thing that's for a movie, but actually like Morgan Freeman plays this magic debunker who reveals to the police how we perform this trick, and you realize not only is it like possible, but it's like obvious in some ways.
Yeah, also got to go to Paris.
Yeah, we got to go to
Yeah.
Paris.
Yeah,
The
that
director
was
is from
fun.
Paris. The scenes we shot in Paris are so quick and not really Paris-centric. They're like running up a flight of stairs.
We could have shot him anywhere.
We could have shot him anywhere, but the director is French and, wanted, when you're, like, I have the same feeling, like, when I do a movie that takes place in New York and it's not filming in New York, you feel frustrated because you know New York so well and you could tell it's inauthentic. And I think that's how he felt with this.
It's always Vancouver, isn't it? New York.
Oh, right, yeah. Yeah, uncanny.
The movie's out this week, or it will be
Yes,
when we
movie's out July
actually
3rd.
put this out. And it's a lot of fun. So yeah, everybody go see it. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Lovely Jessie, lovely Isla there.
They were great fun, actually.
Yeah.
Despite being massively, massively exhausted and jet lagged.
Okay, time for reviews now. Do you have money burning a hole in your pockets? Lucky you. And you want to see a movie this week? Where do you go? Where would you go? Sometimes you go to the cinema, right? But with a field in England, you don't have to go to the cinema. And a first for a movie in the UK, it's available in cinemas, DVD, Blu-ray, it's streaming. It's also going to be on Film 4 on TV this very weekend. But whichever format you watch it in, is it worth your time? Has Ben Wheatley continued his astonishing streak that began with Down Terrace and continued through Kill List and last September's Sightseers?
Yes, he has. He really has. It's a very different beast from Sightseers, which obviously we enjoy because of its macabre black humour.
Yeah.
This doesn't have quite that streak of almost sort of bleak slapstick. This is a more sort of hallucinogenic, lysergic being.
This is the
black and white shot, stark photography, set in the aftermath of a Civil War battle, an English Civil War battle, not that American kind. And it involves 3 soldiers and a scholar, the scholar played by Reece Shearsmith, as we discussed, and they encounter mysterious Irish alchemist played by Kill List's Michael Smiley, and they join him in a sort of treasure hunt.
Yeah,
but an unusual treasure hunt. Should we say?
And not all of them are entirely there by their own choice. I thought this film was fantastic. I think it's dark, it's menacing, it's really, really scary and unnerving. It really, really unsettling, gets in your head. Nick, who's not here, compared it to 2001: A Space Odyssey. It goes incredibly psychedelic at the end, and but it's a fantastic achievement, and I don't think it's for everybody. I'll be honest, it's a very uncommercial movie. It's very bleak and harsh, but it's shot brilliantly. The black and white photography by Laurie Rose is great, and the performances are all fantastic. It's wonderful to see Reece Shearsmith get a shot at a really, really meaty role in this one. It's got that lovely mordant streak of Ben Wheatley humour dotted all the way through it. The interplay between the other actors, from Richard Glover to Peter Ferdinando and Ryan Pope, is fantastic. They're just really, really good together. And I recommend people see it in the cinema, but if they can catch it wherever they can, it's a triumph, because this is a Ben Wheatley's one of the most original voices in British cinema for years, and I think this is his most original film. Maybe not entirely his most satisfying. I still have a soft spot for Down Terrace. It's his best film, but you should definitely check this one out. But prepare for a weird experience. Yeah, a lot of weirdness.
It'll be interesting to see how the release plays out as well. The multi-platform release. I'm sure a lot of people in Hollywood will be watching, just as a case study, because I don't think this has really been tried before.
It has been tried before, but Steven Soderbergh's Bubble was released in much the same way in the States, but I don't think it was on TV. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how it goes down. So we give that 4 stars. A Field in England, which continues Ben Wheatley's streak, and then some. Okay, so next up we have the aforementioned Now You See Me. Thoughts on this one, people?
Yeah, this is Louis Leterrier's magic come heist film, which stars essentially Jesse Eisenberg and Isla Fisher and Woody Harrelson and Franco the Younger as a troupe of magicians, rather sexistly called the Four Horsemen, and as part of their act,
what else are going to be called?
The Four Horse People.
That might be confusing. People might think they're horses' heads.
And it's not the 4 horse people of the apocalypse.
Yeah, but they were all like dudes and everything. Because it was death, fire, fear, and mortis.
No.
The four horsemen of the apocalypse.
Death, plague, war, and pestilence.
That was a Judge Dredd
I
reference.
see. Okay.
Yes, so the point being that they're a magic act, they're a Vegas magic act, and as part of their big act, they rob a bank in France, which brings the FBI into the picture, with Mark Ruffalo heading them up to try and bring these sort of sleight of hand ne'er-do-wells down. I mean, it's one of these films where, obviously being a magic film, it's about... There's a line in it where Jesse Eisenberg says the secret of magic is to be the smartest guy in the room, and this film very much thinks it is. The argument here is that it might be a little bit mistaken. It has great showmanship, as all great magic acts do. I mean, there's lots of dry ice, there's lots of doves and fireworks and things. I'm extending this metaphor.
There's lots of dry ice.
Yes, there's an awful lot of dry ice.
That's what you look for in a film, is it?
Yes, that is basically it. It has a lot of showmanship. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I think the problem is that where it falls down is on the prestige, if you will. The final sort of element of the trick is perhaps not as substantial as we would have liked it to be. You can't really talk too much about the end without giving away the secrets.
Yeah, I wish this film, in a way, were almost big enough to warrant a spoiler special, because there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
Once the big twist.
But it's not. This isn't a film, I think, where the prestige is the be all and end all. I think there's a lot of fun to be had on the journey. It is a very enjoyable film. There is lots of stuff going on. Everyone's really likeable. They're an interesting act. I mean, there's the four of them. There's Isla Fisher, who's the escape artist, whose skills are not really used a lot. Franco's the pickpocket. Jesse Eisenberg is the sort of card trick master, and Woody Harrelson is the mentalist in many ways. And it's nicely put together. Some of the elements are explained very well. I mean, Morgan Freeman exists in part as a narrative device. He's a professional magician debunker who spoils other magicians' tricks by giving away the secrets. So all the way through, the way they've got around explaining how it all works is he basically tells you.
Yeah, and it's quite fun to kind of contrast him with Mark Ruffalo, who's just getting more and more frustrated having to deal with these people the whole way through. You think he's going to Hulk out at any moment, to be honest.
Yeah, he's absolutely spitting venom. There are veins bulging out of his head through half of this film. It's a lot of fun. The interrogation scene with Eisenberg is one of my favourites in there, where he throws the handcuffs off and onto him. It's very nice.
There's also a great scene by halfway through where Ruffalo tries to arrest Dave Franco, and they have a cracking fight in an apartment where Franco's using loads of magic tricks to wriggle out of the clutches of Ruffalo and another FBI agent, which is probably worth the price of admission alone. It's one of those. It is really good.
I'm not saying this film is a classic scene in an Empire sense, but that is a great scene of this year. Yeah. Just watching him do that, when he disappears and then he turns up and then he's throwing playing cards like Gambit from X-Men. It's very, very well put together.
Also, I thought the movie loses focus slightly. It starts off with the four horsemen, and they're fun characters, and you want to spend time with them. But then, for reasons that will become clear as the plot rockets along, it kind of takes a step back from them in a way. And you were right, a lot of the stuff with Four Horsemen doesn't go anywhere. The Isla Fisher character doesn't ever really use her escapology skills to any great effect, and there's a hint of a romance between her and Eisenberg, which is introduced very, very early on and just doesn't go anywhere. But the interplay between them is great. But I also, the film is then it shifts focus to the FBI guy chasing him, and Ruffalo's fantastic, I think, as that FBI guy, and it's great to see also Melanie Laurent getting one of her best Hollywood roles since Inglourious Basterds.
I feel like they might be planning a little bit of a sequel for this. I think if this does well, they want to do another one. They've left the door open.
Do you know what? I wouldn't have a problem with that, because I think we gave it 3, but I had an absolute blast with this film. I think it's done very, very well in the States. It's just about to hit 100 million in the States, and which is very, very good for a film of virtually no stars and no brand names and whatnot. And I had a blast with it.
Yeah,
I thought these were characters I could enjoy spending time with again. And even if you can see the twist coming, if you don't, great, more power to you. But if you do see the twist coming, I don't think it diminishes the enjoyment of the film that much. But yeah, 3 stars for that. I would go personally a little bit higher, but we gave it 3. Moving on. Sofia Coppola is one of the most distinct voices in American independent cinema, and her latest, Le Bling Ring, tells the true tale of a group of LA high school kids who started breaking into celebrities' homes while they were away, and ultimately became briefly as famous as their quarry. Thoughts on this one?
We liked it.
Yeah.
Good. We liked it. It's a story that Sofia Coppola came across in an issue of Vanity Fair, based on an article by Nancy Jo Sales called The Suspect. The Suspects Wore Le Butin, which is a lovely kind of juxtaposition that Coppola plays on, that these characters they're criminals, but they're basically just slightly, very, shall we say, superficial teenagers who are worshipping at the altar of celebrity in an extraordinary way. It's got Emma Watson and Katie Chang, who's basically the ringleader, and Israel Broussard plays the one guy in the gang, basically. And they use the internet to find out when celebrities are away. Paris Hilton is the first of them. She's away in
scary,
Vegas.
Isn't it? Because they Google people's addresses.
Yeah, exactly. You interviewed Emma Watson in Cannes, didn't you, and talked about this. It is kind of scary for celebrities because you now know where people live. You know, you can Google Earth their houses and you can almost sort of see their security systems. So Orlando Bloom, Paris Hilton fall victim to them. It's very voyeuristic and it takes you right into their lives. But they're quite empty people, and spending time with them isn't always that much fun over an hour and a half, 2 hours. It's actually quite a dispiriting experience, and it's not. Sofia Coppola is very, very good at showing. She is now in her early 40s, but she still has a real eye for this world. It's the world that she kind of grew up in, although obviously not this level of superficiality, and she depicts it really well. There's great cinematography from the late Harris Savides. This is one of his last films.
Dedicated to him. And some great scenes. There's one long shot of a break-in, which is beautiful against the LA nightscape. It's my favourite shot in the film.
Yeah, it's a wonderful shot. And there's lots of great moments in it. She's such a great stylist. I'm a little frustrated because they almost lend themselves to a Heathers-like treatment, a bit of a satire. They satirise themselves, I get that, but you want a bit more of a gut punch from this film. I did anyway.
I kind of feel this film's an interesting companion piece to Spring Breakers, and I think this film almost has the low energy attitude of its protagonists, and which I think works very, very well for the movie. It doesn't work itself up into a tizzy, but there are some great scenes in it.
And it does make you despair for that generation or that class of people, that group of people, whatever you want to call them. It's a terrifying look at their values in their lives. And
I don't think she's necessarily rushing out to judge these people.
No, I think she's in a weird way kind of balanced almost.
Yeah, but you are. It is terrifying. It's like, instead of maybe being so obsessed with superficial and facile, why not? I don't know. Here's an idea. Read a book or something. Just throwing it out there.
Weirdly, there's actually a moment when they break into, I don't think it's shown in the film, but in real life, they broke into a reality TV star's house. So you've got a point where there's a film depicting celebrity junkies breaking into someone that was also a celebrity junkie that managed to elevate themselves to this kind of weird new sort of pantheon that we've created in society. She doesn't need to bring an axe to grind, Sofia Coppola. It sort of does the job for you. I don't think it's going to be everybody's cup of tea. We gave it 4 stars, but I think that there's a level of inertia perhaps at times which is a little frustrating. I watched Go, which I think is another interesting companion piece with this film. And this is like a Go for the EDM generation, for the celebrity Facebook selfie generation in a sense. It doesn't quite have the same sort of pep to it that Go had. And I enjoyed that about Go. This is a different beast. This is a more sort of existential, slow moving piece.
I think it's worth saying that some of the most shocking lines in the film, the ones that you think must be made up, come straight from court transcripts and police interviews and articles written at the time. So watch out for those.
I know. And one other last point that's interesting. I met Sofia Coppola and talked to her about the film, and I didn't realise, but she actually toned down some of the things you see in the film. These people, Emma Watson's character, for instance, got a different name from the person it's based on, but she smoked heroin in real life, and in the film you see her smoking marijuana. So it's not as extreme as, it's one of those things where the reality is almost too weird to show. It's a really strange world to spend time in, and even if you've got some Facebook friends out there or whatever, it's still kind of alien and weird.
I'd love to know. I know Paris Hilton's in the film for I think a 5-second cameo.
Yeah.
But I'd love to know the reaction of people like Megan Fox and Orlando Bloom to seeing a movie about their experiences. They're not in the film. Their houses aren't, but stunt houses, I guess. But I'd love to talk to them about that and see what they thought about the film. But yeah, I thought this was great. It played at Cannes in the uncertain regard category, and I think it was worthy of that. So
definitely
4 stars for The Bling Ring. Lastly, we have The Internship, which reunites the Wedding Crashers, Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson, as 2 middle-aged guys who begin an internship with what's it called?
Bing, I think.
Bing, yeah. I'll have to Google it. With hilarious consequences.
Yeah, not so much. It's this is a film that is 2 hours long. 2 hours. And if you had cut out 30 minutes of that 2 hours and made sure that most of those 30 minutes were uses of the word Google, then you might have been onto something. As it is, it's way too long, way too slow, not nearly funny enough, and so slammed with product placement. It genuinely made me want to use Bing when I came out.
Nobody wants to use Bing.
I know, but for a moment, there was a moment. It just, so much product placement you can't even believe. So, yeah, it's not great. Their shtick has become, I love them, I love Vince Vaughn individually, love Owen Wilson individually. I felt like their shtick together just felt really tired in this. And it's funny, like, you see them in interviews talking about it, and it kind of works because they're just kind of shooting the breeze. But the kind of the improv here just felt, tired and drawn out.
There's a great Onion riff on this movie,
yes,
which called
was.
it the
must-see movie of 2005.
2005, yes. This is definitely the funniest film for anyone who's still living 8 years ago, and it does feel that way to me. I mean, there are references, topical references to Professor X, and these guys who are in their late 30s, early 40s in the movie somehow don't know what the X-Men are, and you just kind of go, really? Is this written by idiots?
Yeah, it doesn't. It's kind of another look at geek culture that doesn't actually understand or like or respect geek culture. So, it's a mess, and it's so long. There are moments in it of charm. There's some nice supporting characters, but overall, I didn't love it.
Bit of a shame. I actually quite like the trailer this week for Vince Vaughn's next movie, The Delivery Man.
Yeah.
Which looks like it's a slightly different variation on the Vince Vaughn persona that we've come to see over the last few years, and who knows? Then again, you're talking to someone who liked Fred Claus, so maybe I'm in the tank for that, man. But we shall see. Other films for you to consider this week. Well, I don't think Ben Wheatley has the weirdest film out this week, because Status Quo play themselves in a caper film called Bula Quo. We gave it 2 stars. That's 1 for Francis Rossi and 1 for Rick Parfitt. Do go and check that out if you value...
If you're quick.
Your sanity, yeah, precisely. And that is it for this week's Empire Podcast. Join us next week for more film-related fun, when we'll be joined by Dan Scanlon and Corey Ray, director and producer, respectively, of Monsters University, the excellent Monsters University, and the great Guillermo del Toro, who'll be here to tell us all about his Pacific Rim. Until then, what?
I thought you were being rude.
I wasn't being rude.
Okay.
He's made a film called Pacific Rim.
Oh, okay. I wasn't aware of that.
Were you not aware of this? Okay. Until then, it's goodbye from Helen.
Goodbye.
It's goodbye from Phil.
Goodbye.
It's goodbye from James.
Goodbye.
And it's goodbye from me. I'm off to Google where Colin Salmon lives. I'm not going to break in. Just going to stand outside and stare.